This is the Queen Victoria.
One of Cunard's famously classy queen ships. Think grand ballrooms, polished wood, white gloved service, and a whole lot of British class. With 185 years of history, Cunard is basically the cruise world's royal family. But will this old-school cruise win over two casual travelers who usually skip formal night? Or will we be sipping tea and checking our pocket watches by the end? Let's find out!
Hola, it's so nice to see you again. We are in Civitavecchia, Italy, about to board the Queen Victoria. So put down your remote, kick back, and come along on this adventure.
Only 1,500 passengers were embarking today, so check-in was super speedy. We were on our way on board in just a few minutes. We love this moment when from the gangway, we take a closer look at our home for the next 7 nights. The MS Queen Victoria is a 964.5-foot-long Vista-class ship. It can house 2,061 passengers and 913 crew members. Once inside, one word to describe the ship came to mind: majestic. At this point, we couldn't wait to experience it all. But first, we had to make a quick stop at our stateroom to leave our belongings and secure our valuables in the safe with an impenetrable password. If you know us at all, you already guessed our next stop, the buffet. Unlike our last Virgin cruise, Cunard offers a typical buffet.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
We love a good buffet, and this one did not disappoint. However, we were racing against the clock as it was almost closing time. For dessert, we had soft-serve ice cream. I tried to make a swirly cone, but as you can see, I failed miserably. Now, after our first meal on board, our trip had officially started.
We can't believe this is already our 4th cruise, and just 4 months ago, we hadn't even been on a ship before.
And now, we're about to sail on one of the most elegant cruise ships out there.
Yeah, and this trip is a bit fancier than what we're used to. We actually had to go out and buy suits for this cruise. We usually pack light and keep things super casual, but Cunard, it's all about elegance and tradition, so we're stepping it up.
We're excited, but also wondering if we'll fit in or feel totally out of place. Still, we're here for the whole experience, so let's do it.
But first things first, we need to get the boring stuff out of the way. Unpacking and organizing everything took longer than usual due to the more formal clothing. Thankfully, I enjoy that kind of stuff. For Ari, it will be the 9th circle of hell.
Sail away is at 1800 hours, and for the first time, our cruise starts in a different port than Barcelona. This cruise begins in Civitavecchia, Italy, and will return here in 8 days after sailing through the Mediterranean. So, where are we headed? We'll be stopping in Marseilles, France, and then visiting 3 Italian ports, Alghero, Messina, and Naples, with 2 sea days in between to properly soak in everything the Queen Victoria has to offer, or at least find our way around her. Cunard is all about classic British charm, a celebration of culture, tradition, and that unmistakable touch of refinement. We're especially looking forward to the 2 gala nights, the traditional afternoon tea service, grabbing a pint at the Golden Lion pub, and of course, digging into some iconic British comfort food. Think fish and chips, pie and mash, and yes, sticky toffee pudding, which we may or may not have drooled over watching the Great British Bake Off. Whatever happens, the Cunard experience promises to be something different, and we're glad you're along for the ride. Now, it's the perfect time for a room tour.
Welcome to our stateroom. This is a Britannia exterior, and we were welcomed with this awesome gift. Follow me. This is the bedroom. It's a king-size bed. The linens look perfect, and we love the combination of royal blue with gold. The TV it's on the smaller side. And the view is magnificent. This is the sitting area, a small sofa for 2 people and a coffee table. Here we have the coffee station with coffee and tea, which are complimentary, water and wine are not. And here we have the minibar with many options for an extra charge. Here is my favorite detail of the room. They gave us bathrobes and slippers. The bathroom is pretty and it feels very fancy with all the golden details.
Overall, we loved our cabin. However, having the lifeboat right outside our window will have a huge drawback later in the trip. Right on time, the Queen Victoria left Civitavecchia. While I was still getting ready for dinner, John Buffet cheated on me, but I forgive him. The night's attire was smart casual. We're already better dressed than at any of our previous cruises, and if you can tell, we're loving it.
Our dinner time was 8 p.m., so we made our way to the Britannia restaurant. We started things off with bread, which we will have a lot of throughout the trip. I had the terrine of marble game for my starter, and Ari had the porcini risotto. We shared a potato truffle and a ghost cheese soup. Yeah, this being the first day, we were still trying not to eat as much, but we were over it by dessert. For my main, I ordered the grilled salmon supreme and Ari ordered the potato gnocchi, which he found delicious. For dessert, we doubled up on the warm cherry clafoutis tart. If our experience with the food so far was any indication, we will be eating a lot during this cruise. Spoiler alert, we did.
After dinner, we walked to the theater at the ship's bow and encountered this mesmerizing sunset. The theater is 3 decks tall and beautiful. We loved its classic look and seating capacity, and always found seats for every show we went to. Tonight's show was titled Variety Showtime. The performances were excellent, and the lighting and sound design were perfect. The day had been long, and we already had a lot of steps under our belts from walking around Rome even before boarding, so we were beat. At least I was. Back in our stateroom, our smart attire became PJs, and it was time to test if the bed was as comfortable as it looked. John slept great. Me, not so much. The day's first order was hitting the gym on deck 10 to get it out of the way early. It's a small gym with basic techno gym machines, a few dumbbells and treadmills. One thing we loved about it was the unobstructed front view of the ship. Next stop, one of my favorite things when cruising, the breakfast buffet. A special mention to the pastries, the hash browns, and whatever the opposite of a special mention is to the scrambled eggs.
That breakfast was absolutely delicious. We are really impressed with the ship. The Queen Victoria is beautiful, and I feel like I'm sailing on the Titanic.
Yeah, maybe not the best comparison.
Today is a sea day, so we're going to check the daily program and pick our activities for the day. We chose a talk in the theater with Dick Clement and Ian Lafreniere, 2 British TV writers telling the story about how they made it in the industry. This was our first such activity on a cruise, and we were afraid we'd be bored, but we weren't. It was pretty interesting. After a quick lunch at the Lido and coffee in the relaxing winter garden bar on deck 9, we returned to the theater to play the Pinnacle game show. Each player receives a remote device to choose their answers to trivia questions on a big screen. The game was very cutthroat. You get eliminated with just one wrong answer until only one player remains. We liked how fast-paced it was. There were 100 players and the game lasted only 20 minutes. Some of the questions were quite difficult. Ari was eliminated in round 3 and I lasted just 2 more rounds before biting the dust.
The time had come for our first afternoon tea on the Queen Victoria. Maybe our first afternoon tea ever is more accurate. Afternoon tea is served daily at 3 p.m. in the aptly named Queen's Room. With their fancy white jackets, the waitstaff parade into the Queen's Room with their tea trays while everyone claps. We shared a table with John and Mary, a lovely British couple who made our tea experience extra special. We had our teas with a splash of milk and tried everything they had to offer. We weren't even hungry because lunch was not long ago, but we couldn't resist these yummy-looking pastries, especially the scones, which we will eat dozens of in the coming days. We loved afternoon tea so much that we paid for a fancier version later in the trip. After you eat so much, a nap is the only logical choice. To continue with the British theme, we fell asleep to a rugby game on TV. Our first gala night had arrived, so it was time to dress up. Tonight's theme was red and gold, so I went with gold and John with red. To begin the celebrations, we opened the complimentary bottle of sparkling wine.
2 hours later.
Thank you, Hats. On our way to dinner, we were glad to see that most guests were dressed in formal attire. We felt fancy. Dinner began with a complimentary glass of sparkling wine. As starters, we ordered the seafood and tarragon gnocchi gratin and the roasted cauliflower and pickled grape salad. We also ordered the Tuscan white bean and lentil soup and the shellfish bisque. For my main, I had chestnut mushroom and squash au vin, while John had grilled lamb loin. We shared 2 desserts, a vanilla lemon souffle and a prune and Armagnac sticky toffee pudding. This was our first time trying the sticky toffee pudding. Britons, go ahead and high-five yourselves.
After dinner, we went to the Queen's Room, where the Queen Victoria band was playing live. The Queen's Room looked gorgeous at night, and couples danced on the elegant dance floor. The music was catchy and invited us to dance. Unfortunately, even though we're Latin, this is as much as you'll get from us on the dance floor. We headed to the theater next to catch the late show. Tonight, a group named ODYC sang vocal harmonies, modifying iconic songs, and was accompanied by an electric drum. The vocals were great, and they put on a good show. We really enjoyed it. As a nightcap, we returned to the Queen's Room to catch a brief dance performance by the entertainment team. Throughout the cruise, we saw that this group of performers was very talented.
This is not our first time docking in Marseille, but for different reasons, it will be the first time we actually get off the ship. After a hearty breakfast at the buffet, we disembarked and boarded a Cunard-provided bus to the Old Port, from where we could easily walk around the city. Our first stop was Notre Dame Cathedral, just steps from the Old Port. Sadly, it was closed. Luckily, it is close to Le Panier, the oldest district in Marseille. Walking its narrow, interlaced streets in the early morning light was magical. We stopped at a cute corner coffee shop where I put my Rosetta Stone lessons to use by ordering in French. God bless our waiter for his patience. On our way to our main attraction, we stumbled upon La Église Saint-Vincent de Paul. Its high ceiling was mesmerizing, and its stained glass windows were gorgeous. Le Palais Longchamp was our North Star since we disembarked in Marseille, and it did not disappoint. The palace's construction began in 1839 to celebrate the Marseilles Canal, which brought water to the city. You can definitely appreciate how central water is in its design. We loved everything about it, but the fountain definitely takes the cake. The bus ride back was like the beginning of a virus movie, with people coughing and sneezing. Whatever it was, I caught it. Luckily, I only started showing symptoms on the last day. This makes 3 out of 4 cruises where one of us has gotten sick. If you have any tips on how to avoid this, please let us know. Back on the ship, we went to the Golden Lion pub on deck 1 for lunch. We loved the look and feel of the pub. You know the saying, don't grocery shop when hungry? Well, John should have applied the same logic while ordering his lunch. He got the pie of the day, pork pie, the Cunard gold beer batter hake, aka fish and chips, and a plowman's lunch. I probably shouldn't have dared him to eat it all, but hey, what's the fun in that? I ordered the falafel scotch egg, the Bloody Mary spiced chips, and the sticky toffee pudding, which, again, British people, well done. After lunch, we hit the pavilion pool area on deck 9. John got in one of the hot tubs, which were nearly empty because it was a port day. I stayed dry, listening to a podcast and grabbing a towel for John like a good husband.
We squeezed our second gym session on board before dinner. Many of you have asked how we don't gain weight on a cruise while eating so much. The short answer is, we do. Adi tracks his weight and he gained almost 6 pounds on our last cruise. By the end of this one, he will have gained 4 pounds. The truth is, we go on a strict diet before and after a cruise. We love trying new foods while on vacation, so we balance it with a clean diet at home. Now you know, you're not the only one who returns home feeling like a pufferfish.
Back in the room, we got ready for dinner. Tonight's attire is smart casual. We decided to try the buffet for dinner. It was good and surprisingly quite full. Maybe folks wanted the informality of the buffet after a gala night. Next, we sat in the winter garden for coffee and a trivia game. The game's theme was 18 to 30s social pop culture. While we both exceeded the age bracket, me a bit more than John, we didn't fare so bad with an 11 out of 20 questions correct. The winner got 16 out of 20. Afterward, we went down to the theater for a stand-up comedy act by Alfie Moore, an ex-cop British comedian. Even though his routine was naturally pretty British, we enjoyed his act. However, judging by his karaoke chops a few nights ahead, he might fare better in the music industry. The idea was to sleep in and explore Alghero later in the day, but remember the lifeboat outside our window? Here it is at 6:30 a.m. Alghero was a tender port, and it was one of the tender boats. It was a bummer to be woken up so early. Still, it was an interesting sight we wouldn't have experienced otherwise. Now that we were awake, we went for a quick breakfast at the buffet before going down to the theater to get in line to board the tenders. We were in group 29, and it took 61 minutes for our number to be called. We boarded the tender, which we love, and left the Queen Victoria behind as we approached the coast. Whenever I step on Italian ground, I like to phone my sister who lives in Italy. Alghero is beautiful. We walked its quaint old town streets where we found this very original street artist, gave this kitty a delicious head massage, and of course had some Italian coffee. The day was hot, so we headed to the coast next, looking for a refreshing beach. We disembarked with our swim trunks on, hoping to find a beach here somewhere, but apparently they are about 50 minutes driving distance. There's not a beach within walking distance of the port, but we found this beautiful spot and we just sat down here to enjoy the view. The water is really tempting. It's crystal clear and it's gorgeous. It's hot today, but hopefully we find a beach in Messina when we get off the ship, maybe Naples, I don't know. We want to try the Mediterranean Sea. We are Caribbean boys and we are used to beautiful beaches, but these ones we've seen in the past cruises and on this one have been beautiful. So we're really hoping to try one of them. And fingers crossed, this trip will check it off our list. Watching the Queen Victoria in the distance made us feel homesick, so we decided to head back. Walking to the pier, we couldn't help but be thankful for visiting Alghero in the 21st century, because apparently they were not as welcoming of ships in the past.
Back on board, it was no shirt, no shoes, no problem time. We spent a long time between the hot tub and the little pool, causing us to miss lunch. The buffet closes at 2:30, too early if you ask us. But thankfully, they set up some food for afternoon tea at 3. This marked Ari's full-blown love affair with the scones. I can't blame him, they were to die for. Our next stop was the library on decks 2 and 3. It was super cozy and relaxing. So much so that we got sleepy not long after starting our books, and we retired to our cabin for the rest of the afternoon. Once well rested, we went to the Golden Lion pub to grab a bite and taste their signature beers. We weren't very hungry. I had the pie of the day and we both had sticky toffee puddings. We ordered Cunard's 3 signature craft beers, Cunard Gold, Cunard Red and Cunard Black. I liked all 3, but Ari liked only the blonde one. A trivia game began while we were here. It was progressive trivia that had gone on for days, but we wanted to play it for fun. Our performance was abysmal, and we gave up halfway through.
While we waited for the night show to begin, we walked around the ship, which looked gorgeous in the twilight. The theater show was titled One Way or Another. Sadly, no recording was allowed. The production was super high quality and we had a fantastic time. After eating more cookies than we'd cared to admit at the late snack buffet, we called it a night. We fell asleep to Tutankhamun's treasures on National Geographic. It being a sea day, we could take it slow. We woke up late and went for a slow breakfast at Britannia, which looked lovely in the morning. The food was tasty, and we met Gita, a lovely solo traveling lady, at the table beside us. She told us how she grabbed the wrong suitcase at the airport and was on board with just the clothes she had on. We can't imagine how stressful that situation must have been. After breakfast, we went to the card room on deck 3 to play a board game. We chose Rummikub in honor of one of my best friends who recently passed. He loved this game. John won the game, and I have only one word for him. Just kidding, of course, although his good luck in games is annoying. After another quick gym session, we went to play quoits on deck 10. We went against another couple, but John's luck had run out playing Rummikub, and we were beaten on the first round. Later that afternoon, we dressed up for our date in the Veranda restaurant for the paid afternoon tea I mentioned earlier. A glass of champagne, jasmine tea for me, Earl Grey tea for John, live music, attentive service, and lots of food. The food was beautifully plated. We skipped lunch so as not to ruin our appetites, and we're happy we did. There were various savory and sweet options, as well as irresistible scones. The time we spent here felt very special to me. The cost of this champagne afternoon tea was $45 per person. We went from being all dressed up to barely dressed for a chill afternoon at the pool, and back to dressed up a few hours later. Tonight is our second gala night, so suits and ties are mandatory to dine at the main restaurant. It's been years since I've put on a tie, and I had trouble remembering how to tie it properly. Ultimately, it was mission accomplished, and we went to dine at the Britannia with a quick stop to admire the sunset. Tonight's dinner consisted of seafood thermidor tart, Peruvian roasted vegetable ceviche, clear oxtail, hot herb vichyssoise, a fillet of beef Wellington, and a kale, pear, and blue cheese strudel. 2 rum-roasted pineapples accompanied by the old faithful cup of coffee for dessert. After dinner, we explored Deck 10 and discovered 2 new places, the Admiral's Lounge and the Commodore Club. With its classic design and furnishings, the Commodore Club felt like a place where you are offered deals you can't refuse. It was karaoke night at the Golden Lion pub. We don't know if this was a charter cruise for a singing school or what, but almost everyone sounded like a professional singer. Second and final gala night is done. So let's touch base with our fears from the beginning of the video. First of all, have we felt underdressed?
I have not.
Me neither, and even though there are many people in tuxedos and in tip-top proper dress form, we have felt just fine as is. There is no policing, like the crew is not telling you, you are underdressed. There is a strict dress code in the main dining room on the gala nights. So on the 2 gala nights, there has been a strict, enforced dress code.
Have you felt out of place?
I have not felt out of place.
Me neither.
One of the fears we had coming in the cruise was feeling like we don't belong. And so far, everyone has been super friendly, very talkative, welcoming.
Yeah, we're loving it so far.
Yes.
Have we been bored? That is a very important question.
Yes.
I have not.
I can see how some people may call it boredom, like they feel they're bored on a Cunard cruise because the activities are different than in the other cruises we've been to. Less parties, more talks, less music, more library.
Yes.
Much lower pace. Yeah. But we like it.
Yeah, we're loving it.
I can see how some people might find it slow, but it's a nice change of pace from the other cruises. We loved Virgin and we're loving this one.
Yeah,
they're very different.
This has been great, and the ship is so beautiful. Oh my God! Right now we're extremely tired.
We still have 2 ports coming up, so let's see what we do once we get on off the ship in Messina and Naples. But for today,
let's go to sleep. I'm too tired.
That's all, folks.
Good night.
Good night.
Messina is another beautiful Italian city. We love church hopping in new cities. When you think you've seen the most impressive one, the next is even more awe-inspiring. In Messina, we visited La Basilica Catedrale Santa Maria Assunta, which has a mesmerizing wooden ceiling. La Parroquia Santa Maria del Carmine, where, for some reason, Ari looked like a wax statue under the light of its stained glass window. On the hottest day of our trip, we also had to trek uphill to reach Il Tempio di Cristo Re. Once up the hill, we found this cute coffee house where we got 2 granitas to cool down. My brain cooled down more than I wanted though. The view from up here made the climb worth it. Our final stop was La Fontana di Nettuno, a water fountain designed by an apprentice of Michelangelo. Back on the ship, the choice was obvious, the pool. No hot tub this time, just hours and hours of refreshing pool time. That night, we experienced one of our favorite parts of the cruise, the crew talent show. Watching crew members from different departments showcase their hidden talents, from singing and dancing to classical piano, was super fun. Even the entertainment director participated in a funny comedy bit. After a quick visit to the late-night buffet, we called it a night.
Naples turned out to be the highlight of our trip. This time, we didn't have breakfast on board to save ourselves for the famously delicious Neapolitan food. We kicked things off with mouth-watering pistachio-filled cornetos and perfectly roasted coffee. Naples is astonishingly beautiful. We especially loved walking around the Centro Storico, which has many narrow streets with dozens of small shops and restaurants. It is brimming with people without feeling crowded. We also booked a tour of underground Naples, a vast network of underground tunnels used as everything, from Greek and Roman aqueducts to World War II bomb shelters. It was a history-rich excursion not suitable for claustrophobic people. Of course, we couldn't leave Naples without trying the pizza and the traditional Sicilian casatina. Not eating on the ship was definitely the right choice. Back on the ship from our last port, we've earned the right to add the Queen Victoria coin to our collection, joining the Scarlet Lady, the MSC World Europa, and the Costa Fascinosa. Do the honors, John? Our next cruise will be through the Norwegian fjords on board the MSC Eurybia, so we have to have that coin made. We dressed up for our last night. For our final dinner in the Britannia, we ordered the works: salt-cod arancini, gravat lax and smoked salmon, smoky pewy lentil pate, tomato and basil salad, slow-braised pork loin, and beetroot risotto. For dessert, steamed lemon-drizzled pudding and coconut panna cotta. This delicious dinner in this gorgeous restaurant was the perfect way to end our time on board the MS Queen Victoria.
Back on dry land, thank you so much for coming along on this adventure. Join us on this video next, where we sail on a cruise with the complete opposite vibe. Until the next sail away.